Alright dudes and dudettes, we're going to get vintage here and we are going to be talking about some groovy hairstyling, which is chapter 17, the hairstyling chapter of the My Lady textbook. So the whole objective of this book is to teach you the very basics of hairstyling, both wet styling, thermal styling, and blow dry styling. This is where a majority of what you're going to be doing on your skateboard practical is going to come into place. And get ready for it, drum roll, your dreaded skateboard set. I know it's awful and it's tough, but it has a purpose if you're in a state that requires it. Some states don't. I know Pennsylvania is one of them. So you're going to learn the theories of a curl, the anatomy, painless anatomy, of curling irons, curls for rollers, pin curls, all that stuff. Techniques on styling long hair, short hair, hard pressing, and I'm going to give you my own professional opinion on a lot of different things. This chapter is a little dated, and I will say that some of the information that they tell you is not always as accurate as it can be. So they start the chapter describing how hairstyling has been a foundation of history, just like haircuts were a way of defining an era. There's also hairstyles that define an era, like the bobs and flappers of the 20s and 30s, Marie Antoinette and her elaborate tall hairstyle that was vertical. Also seeing what's on the runway. You know, now in the era of anything that goes, we still have some trends, but they're a little bit looser. You know, in the early 2000s, that was a year where stylists, fashion designers, hairdressers alike were challenging the norms, creating these crazy styles. 2000s, like 2010s, those were a crazy year where you had singers like Lady Gaga had that crazy hairstyle. So I give you some celebrities that have had some really cool looks. Know that client consultation is important. When they show you a photo again, they're gonna show you a photo of this color, cut, style, and you're gonna tell them like, what do you like about the photo? Is it the style, is it the color, and so on and so forth. If you're able to come up with a style that's your own thing, you're able to sell it to that client. They will keep coming back to get the specific style. Back in the day, it was roller sets, but now I'm thinking it's like blowouts are the in thing still. That's like the modern version of the hair sets that are used for clients that are younger. If you watch the like the Housewives of New York City, Tinsley Mortimer, she's an example. If you ever like look her up, she's a socialite. She gets her hair blown out all the time, and she has a specific stylist. So we are going to jump right in and talk about wet styling. So wet styling is anything without the use of heat. So you're creating your waves, your curls without heat. You are using a heat source, blow drying or hood dryer to dry the hair. Hood dryers, we're going to talk about it later. But it's important to know that there's different types of them. Wet styling uses the following items: brushes, combs, rollers, which are going to be plastic rollers, clips, duckbill sectioning, finger waving, double prong and single prong clips, pins, could be hairpins or bobby pins, and clamps. So finger waving, know this for your test. It's defined as the process of shaping and directing hair into an S pattern through the use of the fingers, combs, and waving lotion. Finger waves are very popular in the 20s and 30s, the flapper style. If you don't know what they are, it's like the S shape that looks, it looks like the hair has been sculpted when it's dry. They're also a pain in the butt for a lot of students. It's something that a lot of them struggle with. I will say that if you are not going into movie styling or TV styling, you don't have to become too familiar with them. Know them for the skateboard and know them for the sake of knowing them. Practice it. You will get it eventually. They also make thermal finger waves. You can do it with a Marcel iron, or if you get a double barrel curling iron, you can get a dated vintage look like that with a modern take. They give you the example of Madonna and Tyra Banks wearing these finger waves. I know that a lot of ballroom dancers, like if they're doing the tango, they'll want finger waves and then like their hair up in an elaborate bun. Finger waves are only good to a certain extent or certain hairstyles. On very, very long hair, it's very hard to finger wave the hair. So what you're going to do is finger wave it to the head, get a few ridges in there, and then what you're going to do on the ends is you're going to take the ends and either roller set them or pin curl them up and dry it like that, and that will give you somewhat of a really cool wavy curly style. Also watch Your Genius. I know one of the episodes they had doing a pin curls, finger waves, and all that. It was pretty cool. So finger waving lotion. When I say waving lotion, I don't want to confuse you, because what they call perm solution, they also call that waving lotion. And a lot of students are like, wait, are they the same? They're very different. You don't want to take perm solution, put it on, and try to finger wave it. No, the hair will come right off. Waving lotion is a type of hair gel. It makes the hair pliable enough to keep it in place during the finger waving procedure. Also want to tell you that, here's how you tell the difference if you're really that confused. If you see a thing, the bottle says waving lotion, it's really big and it seems like it's a gel, chances are it's finger waving lotion. Also smell it. Perm waving lotion smells like rotten eggs. Finger waving lotion is usually scented, or it comes in like a pink color and it's like a gel. Now the traditional finger waving lotion is made from coraya gum, and it's taken from the trees found in Africa and India. Coraya gum is diluted for its use on fine hair, so it can be used in a more concentrated consistency on medium and coarse hair. If you have fine hair, you can actually add a little bit of water to your finger waving gel, stir it in a little bowl, make it like thinner, and then apply it with a brush. On thicker hair, use it straight out of the bottle. A good waving lotion is harmless to the hair and it does not flake when it dries. Be sure not to use too much at any one time. If you do use too much, you'll know because you'll feel it and it will be super saturated, and if you try to comb it, you'll have clumps of it fall to the floor. We have all made that mistake at some point. So typically, if you're doing modern finger waves, you're not going to use traditional finger waving lotion. I know that Sally Beauty Supply sells a lot of the stuff that you'll use for cosmetology. What we're using now is a lot of gels, like hard gels or soft gels. If you take a hard gel and add a little water to it, you can get the same consistency of finger waving lotion. Think like a chemist, act like a chemist, have fun with this. This is all about styling. Even though we're applying the principles of design for styling, there is no right or wrong way to design because it is so drastic with hairstyling and how much information we have now. Put your own take on things. There's also different methods of finger waving. You can do vertical finger waving where the ridges will run up and down the head, so you'll have an S shape like this instead of the classical horizontal where the S shape is like that. Know that finger waves is a series of C's and S's, and what I mean by that is when you make your first ridge, it'll be a C here, then you'll do the opposite and that will be your first S shape, and then it will go like that. So you can also, another method of doing this is if instead of completing one side of the head before beginning the other, you can complete the first ridge on one side of the head and then move to the other side to form the first ridge. And after joining the two, you can actually combine them in the back for a really cool texture. So it's doing one side, the other side, and then combine them in the back. And then that's a way of getting like a really cool pattern. There's also different ways of doing finger waves. You can do them, dry them, and leave them as is so they're over-defined, or you can then go through when the finger waves are dried, brush it through, and see the wave texture that it creates. The book gives you a whole bunch of tips on preparing the hair for wet styling. Typically, you're going to shampoo, condition the hair, and then apply your waving lotion. The next type of curl that we're going to create with a wet service is a pin curl, and this can be one of the banes of your existence if you are a cos student that does not like this. I know that I struggled a lot with pin curls, and then finger waves I kind of was better with. So know that pin curls, you're going to learn the anatomy of a curl. Pin curls serve as the basis for patterns, lines, waves, curls, and rolls, and they're used in a wide range of hairstyles. You can use them on all types of hair, including straight, permanent waved, naturally curly hair, color-treated hair, and even bleached hair. Pin curls work best when the hair is layered and smoothly wound. This makes springy, long-lasting curls with good direction and definition. You can have the pin curls stay as is if you want a defined look. You can relax them with your fingers or a wider brush, or you can brush through them and structure the style into a style that you like. Know that there's different parts of a curl. The base is the stationary, which is the non-moving part of the curl, which is the area close to the scalp, the panel of hair from which the roller is placed. So when you section the hair, if you're sectioning out into smaller subsections, your bases, if I do a base that big, that's my base, it's not moving, and then I'm gonna wrap the curl around it. The stem is a section of the pin curl between the base and the first arc, which is also known as your turn of the curl, and it gives the curl its direction and movement. The hair between the scalp and the first turn of the roller is also known as a stem if you're doing wet rollers. The circle is a part of the curl that forms a complete circle and ultimately the wave. The size of the circle determines the width of the wave and its strength. So if you want tighter curls, you're going to take smaller subsections and then you'll have a smaller, tighter circle. If you have a huge wide section like this and a wide circle, it's going to be more of a wave and a looser one. How many times the curl also turns determines the wave or the curl. We're going to talk about that later. Know that the mobility of a curl is what we're going to learn about next. This is going to be the stem, and the stem determines the amount of mobility or movement in a section of hair. Curl mobility is classified as no stem, half stem, and full stem. The no stem curl is placed directly on the base of a curl. It produces a tight, firm, long-lasting curl and allows minimum mobility, so it's going to be tighter, have less movement. The half stem curl permits medium movement. The curl, which is known as a circle, is placed half off the base. It gives good control to the hair. The full stem curl allows for greatest mobility. The curl is placed completely off the base. The base may be square, triangular, half moon, or rectangular section, depending on the area of the head in which the full stem curls are used. It gives as much freedom as the length of the stem will permit. If exaggerated, the hair near the scalp will be flattened almost straight. It is used to give a hair a strong, definite direction. So, usually with styling, you can combine them and do some half stem, some full stem. This also is a personal preference. So if you have a client with very short hair, typically you're only going to be able to do so much. Also know that people usually prefer the half stem because it's for good control, but you still have some room for movement. The issue with the no stem curl is that it will take a lot of working and styling to do because it gives you, long-lasting curl, but it has minimum movement. If you want a hair with a lot of movement, you want to do a mixture of full stem and half stem. So know that shaping is going to be important for this when we're doing the curls. You want to shape the curl, the hair for pin curl placement. Typically, you're going to shape it in a nice C shape, so you're going to go back, kind of curve the hair. Shaping is a section of the hair that is molded into a circular movement in preparation for the formation of curls. Shapings are either open or close end. Always begin a pin curl at the open end or convex side of a shaping. So when I curl the hair like this, I'm going to take it and then I'm going to go in the direction of the C shape. So if I'm combing my hair like that when it's wet, I'm going to take it and then go along that C shape that I made. Open and closed center curls. Open center curls produce even smooth waves and uniform curls. Closed center curls produce waves that get smaller toward the end. They are good for fine hair or if a fluffy curl is desired. Note that the difference in waves produced by pin curls with open centers and those with closed centers. The width of the curl determines the size of the wave. If you make pin curls with the ends outside the curl, the resulting wave will be narrower near the scalp and wider towards the ends. Curl and stem directions. Curls may be turned toward the face, away from the face, upward, downward, or diagonally. The finished result will be determined by the stem's direction. The term clockwise and counterclockwise curls are used to describe the direction of pin curls. And I know this is hard to imagine, but think about a clock. I know it's hard for a lot of you that have dyslexia. I stink at reading analog clocks. It was something that I had to become familiar with because the school I work at has analogs. When you look at a clock, and of course I'm going to turn it like this because I know when you're watching it, it'll be funky. A clock starts from here and then it turns around like that. So 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, all that and around, that's clockwise. It goes like a normal clock ticks. Counterclockwise goes in the opposite. Know that how they define this. Curl formation in the same direction as the movement of the hands of a clock are known as clockwise curls. Curls formed in the opposite direction are known as counterclockwise curls. Know that your pin curls can have different base foundations. There's different ways to style or begin the bases. Like I'm all about that base, about that pin curl base. No issues. Can make a song about this. I used to sing a song when I was doing hair. I'm like, rolling up a pin curl, rolling up a pin curl. I used to drive my teacher insane with that. So before you begin, you want to make sure your hair is nice and combed through, detangled. You divide it into some sections or panels, and then you're going to subdivide each section. So this is customary to what you want to do for a pin curl or wet styling. The most commonly shaped base is the arc base, also known as the half moon or C shape. Others are rectangular, triangular, or square, and to avoid splits in a finished hairstyle, you must use care when forming the curl base. When sections of the hair are close to equal as possible, you will get curls that are similar to one another. Each curl must lie flat and smooth on its base. If it's too far off base, the curl will lie loose away from the scalp. The shape of the base does not affect the finished curl. And that's what's important to remember. Rectangular base pin curls are usually recommended at the side front hairline for a smooth upswept effect. To avoid splits in the comb out, the pin curls must overlap. So what a split is when you comb it, it's when the hair bulges out and you'll see it. And it may take some work of just, teasing it out with the comb or knocking it out with the comb. Make sure that you take care to overlap the pin curls. That way it's all going in one direction. Triangular base pin curls are recommended along the front or facial hairline to prevent breaks or splits in a finished hairstyle. The triangular base allows a portion of the hair from each curl to overlap the next, and the style can be combed in a wave without splits. Arc-based pin curls are known as half moon or C-shaped base curls. and they're carved out of a shaping. Arc-based pin curls give good direction and may be used at the hairline or in the nape. Square-based pin curls are suitable for curly hairstyles without much volume or lift. They could be used on any part of the head and will comb out with lasting results. To avoid splits in the comb out, stagger the section as shown in the illustration, which is they give you an example of a square-based bricklay pattern. So what that means is when you're doing a bricklay, it's that you're not going to have even rows, you're going to have one that's a little off from each row, and that gives it more of a natural look. So there's different types of pin curl techniques. One of the most important technique to learn is called ribboning. It involves forcing the hair between the thumb and the back of the comb to create tension. So you're gonna hold it and then you're gonna, I'm gonna use my handy dandy comb. I'm gonna hold the hair after I comb it out and I'm gonna ribbon it away, and that will create some tension and that will help me get control of the hair. The whole purpose of pin curls and finger waves is not about stressing you guys out, because I know you think we love to torture you. Us teachers do not like to torture you, we actually want to help you. The whole purpose of pin curls and finger waves is about control of the hair, learning how to control the hair so the hair doesn't control you. And what I tell my students is eventually, I said finger waves are your friends and pin curls are your friends as well. Or no, I say finger waves are your friends, pin curls are your pals. That's what I tell them. And I say eventually you're gonna get so good at this, you'll just stare the hair down and the hair will on its own whip itself into a finger wave or a pin curl. You can also ribbon the hair by pulling the strands while applying pressure between your thumb and index finger toward the strand. So if you're going like that, but typically what we're doing is we're gonna comb the hair, do that C shaping, hold the strand, and then pull away. So carved or sculptured curls, pin curls sliced in a shaping and formed without lifting the hair from the head are referred to as carved curls, also known as sculpted curls. This is what you're demonstrating for your state board. Designing with pin curls, you can actually create your own custom designs. To create a wave, use 2 rows of pin curls, set 1 row clockwise and the second row counterclockwise. In other words, wind one row of curls going one way, like a clock, and the other way going that way. So what you're thinking is, why am I gonna do that? Well, here's the purpose. One row is gonna create a C shape, and the other way that's counterclockwise is gonna create another C shape, making the S shape for a wave. Designing with pin curls. The next one is the ridge curl. Ridge curls are pin curls placed immediately behind or below a ridge to form a wave. Skip waves are 2 rows of ridge curls, usually on the side of the head. Skip waves create a strong wave pattern with well-defined lines between the waves. This technique represents a combination of finger waves and pin curls. Barrel curls have large center openings and are fastened to the head in standing position on a rectangular base. They have the same effect as stand-up pin curls. A barrel curl's effect is similar to that of a roller, but does not have the same tension as a roller when it is set. Barrel curls are also used for more like matronly styles. They tend to be something that is, typically you'll be able to identify them if you see an older person that has like a C shape. They give the hair volume. And because this video is going on a while, we're getting towards the 18-minute mark, I am gonna stop this here and we're gonna come back and talk about rollers and creating volume with pin curls.